Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Exudes Excellence. I'm Tasty Bacon, joined as always by Limes.
What is up, guys?
And this week we're going to be featuring the game Guns of Icarus Online from Muse Games. Now, Guns of Icarus Online is a multiplayer, team-based online airship combat game.
We swear that is the only description we can give it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's really unique in the fact that basically the way it plays is you play a character on an airship in a steampunk setting, and you're with a full crew, and you're literally just flying around through the skies fighting other airships.
Yeah, this format's probably the first we've actually seen of this kind of like idea where not only are you playing in this kind of big expansive map with lots of airships flying around, but as a character you're kind of sitting on your own ship doing your own thing to help the crew succeed.
Yeah, it's not like other airship or ship combat in general games where you're just flying your own ship and you control everything. Like, you're just flying around in like first or third person camera. You have one button to just fire your guns and things like that. You're actually a member of the crew running around on the ship. As you could see in the video, I just went through some of the customization things. You have 3 different classes you can play as. There's the gunner, the engineer, and the pilot. And basically the only difference in those classes is really just how many things of essentially tools you can bring with you. Gunners can bring extra types of ammo with them to alter how the guns fire. Engineers can bring more tools to help repair ship components, and pilots can bring extra things that alter how the ship actually flies.
Yeah, this is actually really cool because not only do you get the extra kind of tools in your own class slot, but you also get one tool of the other 2 classes. So for example, an engineer gets 1 pilot equipment and 1 gunner equipment. Normally your pilot equipment would just be a spyglass so that you can spot enemy ships, but it does mean that, like, as an engineer you can still kind of jump on a gun occasionally. And there are even some ships which the layout itself is heavily designed behind this idea of the engineer will be sitting on a gun until he is needed on a specific piece of equipment.
Yep, and as you can see, it's a first-person game. You're running around on the ship itself. There's all the different components, including engines, the balloon, the hull, the guns, and all of them have their own separate health bars, essentially. And if your ship's hull gets destroyed, that's when your ship gets blown up. And there's all sorts of different factors that go into it, like having the engines running. If the engine's health gets low, then it becomes much more difficult to steer the ship. If the balloon health drops down, then the airship just starts dropping from the skies, etc. Like, things you would expect to happen with them. There's actually a lot of different ships too, and the captain of each ship, if you saw earlier during the selection phase, the captain of each ship actually picks what the ship is, as that ship just gets blown up horribly.
Another cool thing is that because this game isn't actually free to play, it is a retail game, but it's fairly cheap, so it's still quite easy to pick up. You do actually have everything unlocked, so all the ships, all the different weapons to put on your ships, they're all unlocked from the start. The only thing you unlock over time is kind of cosmetic skins, so things like hair types and hats and costumes and things like that. But you can even buy those through an in-game store. I think there are some kind of cosmetic items which you can only buy as well.
Yeah, again, just outfits, things like that. Nothing that actually affects the gameplay. And as you can see, even as I'm playing an engineer in this video sequence here, but you can see I'm hopping on the guns, running around with getting to different vantage points, using the spyglass to spot enemy ships, things like that. And it's just ship. If you hit something, the ship spazzes out a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just a really unique game. There's things can catch on fire. As you can see, there's the fire extinguisher trying to put out the fire. That's actually on the hull, which is very devastating.
Yeah. The game brings up a lot of interesting kind of mechanics that we haven't really seen in kind of strategic fighting games almost. This is the skirmish version of the game. They do have plans to include a adventure mode, which we might talk about later. But definitely there are a lot of kind of extra interesting things you have to pay attention to, like because the pilot generally sits on the helm of the ship, their main role is not only to fly the ship, but to kind of give the rest of the team instructions or indicators as to what they should be doing in their role on the ship.
There is in-game voice chat for that, which is the really cohesive teams. I mean, the captain will be on the voice chat calling out orders, like saying, I'm flying towards this ship on the left, man the guns on the left. And then actually even back to the point I made about there being different types of ships in the game, there's, different ships have different or not so much abilities, but attributes. Like some of their ships that are smaller, they obviously fly faster, are more maneuverable, but as a drawback, they can't have as many guns on them. Whereas the ship we're on here is actually a very large ship that's very slow and clunky, but has a lot of firepower behind it. And so on this one, the captain would need to call out if he's going for someone on the left or the right side, so that the gunners can be on the right side of the ship.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of strategy behind kind of what ship you take and what weapons you take on it, because each ship does have different attributes. Some ships are better at kind of the hit and run tactics, so they would be better taking weapons kind of like the flamethrowers, so they can just fly in, do a lot of damage, and then just get out of there before they blow up. Whereas kind of the big bulkier ships, not only are they able to take the heavier weapons, but they kind of make more sense to take them, so you can kind of just sit in one place and just wail on enemies.
And you're also seeing in this video here, I'm running around with a hammer to repair things. There's actually different tools for the different, for the engineer. There's the hammer, which does a really big burst of healing, but then there's the placements have a cooldown that goes on where they can't be healed again during that cooldown. So the hammer does a bigger heal, but has a really long cooldown. Then there's other tools that have shorter cooldowns, but don't heal as much. There's also tools that repair things faster. Like if they actually get completely broken, then they do a bigger amount of repairing on actually getting the piece of equipment back up and running. And then obviously there's also the tools that put out fires and things like that.
Now, one cool thing that I think is actually really awesome about this game is the fact that they're adding this mode called Adventure Mode. Now, there is a Kickstarter for this up at the moment. It has actually been funded, but it's kind of been funded partly. It has hit the minimum amount required for them to put the mode in the game, but obviously the more money they get, the more features they can put in. Kind of what they're aiming with Adventure Mode, which I think is actually really cool, is they're taking this kind of current gameplay that they have, which is just the skirmish mode, which is just running around, shooting up enemies, doing objectives in certain game modes. And they're putting it into a more kind of MMO setting, so adding things like towns and quests and missions and things like that. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely excited for this.
I think pretty much everyone that plays the game currently is extremely excited for the adventure mode. I will be putting a link to the adventure mode Kickstarter down in the description of the video, so if you want to check that out, you can. Again, the game has reached its funding goal, but they do have, like as Lime said, these stretch goals that are just to add even more content and make it even more of a full-fledged, obnoxiously awesome game.
It's basically gonna be EVE Online with steampunk. Which,
except more active.
Not gonna lie.
Except you don't need a spreadsheet to play this. But there's also one of my favorite things about the game is just the community for the game is absolutely outstanding.
The community is almost scary how friendly they are.
Yeah, they're like we've actually been in games together where people actually say over the voice chat, "Man, why is everyone in this game so friendly?" It's such a nice change of pace from. I mean, it is competitive gameplay. All the gameplay right now in the game is PvP, but it's so rare to find someone that's just like raging their heads off like you find in most PvP games.
Yeah, I think there's just something about this game that just makes you kind of happy. Like, regardless if you do well or not, just kind of running around the ship, doing your part, even just playing as an engineer, all you do is run around and whack things. But kind of just the feel of being part of the team and kind of just communicating with people who all have their different roles, it's kind of just awesome. It's kind of hard to... You have to play it. I think everyone just has to play it.
The game is available on Steam. So if you can check it out on Steam. As Lime said earlier, it is fairly cheap, but it's really that sense of teamwork and camaraderie, I think, is what really makes the community so nice and together. I mean, again, even if you're an engineer, you hop on the guns to shoot down enemy ships. Even if you're a gunner, you sometimes have to get off your gun to just go and repair the ship if things get into dire straits. So you really do have to, even as the pilot, occasionally you hop off of steering the ship to go repair something if one of the engineers is preoccupied, if you just got plastered with like cannons or something.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. The ships themselves are so just active. I mean, even as a pilot, you can just put the ship's motors on max, jump off the helm, and the ship would just keep flying straight forward. I mean, the interactivity between the players and the ship itself is pretty crazy, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it really does make you feel like you're part of a crew. But anyway, that's about all the time that we have for this week. We will have a giveaway up on our blog for all of you to check out, and thank you for checking out our video. Hope you subscribe to us and like the video.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.